All right. So, hello everyone. Excuse me. We are going to start into session 2 of this campaign. Hopefully it goes much better compared to last time with dear Brynjar, who, let's just say, met a unfavorable end at the bottom of a pit trap full of acid. Hopefully everyone is enjoying their long weekend for those who have such a luxury. For all those who work service jobs, best of luck dealing with the crowds and the higher numbers than usual. So I did do this at the end of session 1. I went and created a new PC. I have the details up in front of us. So the race is a deep gnome, or Sverf Neblin. I really don't know how to pronounce that one. It's kind of one of those words, right? Asmodeus, kind of pick your poison, go with the gods, with whatever one you go with. But I'll just be probably referring to them as a deep gnome, just for my own sanity. They're a cleric, of course. Rolled up stats. There are some fairly good stats. Save at the end there with the 6, but it is what it is. In a very kind of good deal of coincidence, I rolled up their deity, and it's Kalar Duran Smoothhands from the Gnome Pantheon, which is indeed the patron deity of all deep gnomes, so it's very fitting. We are starting out in the Underdark once more, but we are in the region of the northern end of Oromykos. So you can see here, this is where Brynjar was, beneath the Arn Forest, but go down to the south and to the west. You can see here, this is the symbol of Kalar Duran, and that's representing our gnome cleric, where they are beneath the high forest. You see the high forest here. And I'll touch on Oromykos in a second, because there's a lot of interesting things to touch on with Oromykos. In any case, let's open this document back up again. So I rolled on the trinket table at the end of the equipment chapter in the player's handbook. It is a rope necklace from which dangles 4 mummified elf fingers. I haven't determined whether those are drow fingers. That might be fitting, and probably is very likely, considering that this is a deep gnome who have a lot of issues with the drow, especially up in this area of the world. Opposed to last time with Brynjar, rather than just finding ourselves kind of smack dab in a dungeon, waking up unconscious with more or less almost all of our gear taken away, our deep gnome cleric actually has a quest that they've been given or dealing with. It's a dangerous item that has been exposed and up for grabs, and we need to find or possibly destroy it when we determine what it is. I haven't bothered to go and decide that quite yet. Maybe it'll be something we kind of feel out as we go here. The source of this is coming from an NPC. You'll see I'll touch on that in a second here. So the initial kind of idea, the initial setup, if you would, is Oromykos has sent out a vision, either consciously or unconsciously, widely throughout the depths of the Underdark. A portion of Oromykos has died away to reveal a cavernous hold, and within that hold is a magic item. This deep gnome player character wasn't the one to receive the vision, Rather, they were brought along both for their capabilities as a cleric and training in Underdark survival, only for their group to be attacked by drow. This cleric wound up unconscious and fell down into another smaller cavern. They still have all their gear. He doesn't know if his companions are all dead, but no bodies or gear were left behind after the ambush, once he kind of got his bearings. What he needs to do is he needs to press forward and hopefully secure this item before it falls into the wrong hands, whatever this item may be. So, our Deep Gnome Cleric is going to have to find his way through the Underdark first before he gets to a dungeon, as it were, to kind of find this item, just to kind of show another element of solo play here, rather than just starting off in a dungeon once again. Just do a bit of exploration out in the wider world and see what it is that we find, and if we can find our way to this dungeon where this item is said to be. So I'll open up this gentleman's character sheet, sorry. Just gonna go over the basics here. So Deep Gnome Cleric, his subclass is Nature. I did tweak that a bit, you'll see in a second, just to kind of give him give access to, it's either a spell or two I gave him that's more fitting for a Deep Gnome Cleric. So strength of 6. This is 5th edition. Strength is a relatively easy stat to dump. Dexterity is tied for our highest stat with a dexterity of 16. Constitution is 0. Intelligence is 12. And wisdom is 16. Our charisma is 11. So we are good at being maneuverable and quite wise for our skills, trained in history, insight, medicine, religion, and survival. And again, that high dexterity is going to pay off when it comes to stealthing around the Underdark, because of course Deep Gnomes have stone camouflage, so we have advantage on dexterity checks to hide in rocky terrain, and well, that's kind of more or less what we're surrounded by right now. So we have the home field advantage, as it were. Anything else here that's kind of apt to touch on? So the holy symbol of Calorduran's clergy is a ruby. So that's what our holy symbol is. Rather than starting off with what's the default weapon for clerics? Sometimes it's mace. So rather than give him a mace, which is a strength-based weapon, I just gave him a dagger instead. And his name is Eldon Musgraven. I can't recall. What I do remember is I rolled for a name, and it was not a very good name, so I just scrapped that first one entirely. And I don't believe I may have rolled for a second time, or I may have just kind of picked and choose between a first name and a last name. Anyways, touching on spells. So Mold Earth, Light, Sacred Flame, and Thaumaturgy. Mold Earth being the druid cantrip we have access to as a nature domain cleric. Again, fitting for a nature-based cleric in the Underdark. And then for kind of spells, I picked Earth Tremor as a domain spell. I kind of swapped out the other default one for nature domain for something, again, more fitting for being down in an underground environment. So I went with Earth Tremor. Makes sense. And then Speak with Animals. I didn't see any reason to kind of get rid of that one. There's plenty of animals down here in the Underdark, along with all the other dangerous denizens. And again, I picked spells that I think this cleric would have on them kind of in the moment, as they're kind of en route to this dungeon beneath the high forest. Just to kind of touch some base and give a bit of lore, because this is religion in the realms after all, so it's always good to kind of go over a bit of lore. So Oromikos is located beneath the high forest. This is on the upper dark of the Underdark. In the old days, there was another dwarven realm called Amarindar that used to exist, I believe. I'm not too sure on the exact region, but I believe it's here beneath the Grey Peak Mountains around this area. But they kind of extended out west to beneath the high forest. But in any case, their kind of holds and the like that they had built out west had to be abandoned as Oromikos kind of grew and is always growing. Well, not always growing, but always seems to be encroaching on anything that's kind of built down here. So just going on in some of the history about how he's been around here since the era of Eravindar, from the back in the Crown War days. For some reason, Oromikos cannot extend past the high forest. I don't believe it's ever mentioned as to why that is. Immune to all magics. This is kind of second edition stuff. You'll see it's kind of changed a bit as we go through the notes here. This is back when Oromikos was less conscious. You'll see in 4th edition he becomes a little bit more, well, not a little bit more, but fully conscious. So occasionally areas of Oromikos, like of his body essentially, will die off to reveal kind of old holds and caverns. Every now and then you'll kind of run some myconids down there. And they're very defensive of their territory. Shouldn't try to hack your way through. Warriors should probably best to find your way through like areas where he's not grown into, or where his fungi material has kind of died off. Oozes and slimes are around to defend, as well as the myconids, as well as the kind of defenses Oromikos has available to himself. And did I make any notes from 5th edition? I may not have. I don't know if anything is not mentioned in Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide or Storm King's Thunder, but in any case, well, there is mention in Out of the Abyss, but I didn't really want to touch on that too much because I'm not playing during that era, so I don't want to make it seem like the events of that module are concurrent and happening at the same time my characters are going through this through the Silver Marches. So it seemed after the spell plague hit, Oromikos has become sentient. I don't know if it's... I imagine it's probably not best to refer to him as him. I might do that by accident, but in any case, he does call himself King Oromikos. Those within hundreds of miles may fall under the sway of something called the Dream Trap. So it's Oromikos, in a way, sending out spores that cloud the minds of others and try to entrance them into come and be one with him or them. To what end that might be, who knows. But kind of touching on the setup here, for whatever reason, Oromikos has sent out a vision, again, either consciously or unconsciously, to the various peoples And our Deep Gnome party came out this way only to be ambushed by drow who may or may not be aware of what we're here to find. So I was looking around for rules on Underdark travel in 5th edition, and the only rules, not the only rules, but the rules I found rules easily in Out of the Abyss. So those are the rules we're going to go off of here. Primarily, for each day of travel, we need to make a DC 10 survival check to see if we get lost or not. Failed check remains that the character becomes lost, wandering in a random direction for 1d6 hours before the navigator can make a new check to find the right path. You can see that we don't really travel very quickly in the Underdark, which does make sense. These hexes are 5 miles each. I believe it says that up in the top right. Yeah. So we're not going to get too bent out of shape and kind of, because it doesn't line up 1-to-1 here. So for normal travel, we will only be moving 1 hex a day. Let me see if I can just get rid of this circle here, just so it's kind of off the map. So that's on the token layer. Go to the map layer. Oh, it's also on the object layer. There we go. So we're trying to get here. So what it is we're gonna, ideally this is going to take 4 days of travel to get there, barring any, things that you run up against, any events that transpire. You'll see I build out some macros here at the bottom just to kind of quickly click on and generate some elements for the game. I just remember I don't have some specific documents open, so let me get those open. So that one, and in the interim between sessions 1 and 2, I purchased the part 2 of the Solo Adventurer's Toolbox because it it features some rules for cavern exploration and generation, so we'll be making good use of those today, I think. So to get things started, Eldon, our little Deep Gnome friend, has kind of made his way back up to where his party was ambushed. Maybe hard to say how long ago that was, but it may have been an hour, may have been 5 hours, as he returns to consciousness, and he does not see any physical remains of his party. There are clearly probably some signs of battle, maybe a couple blood splatters here or there, some cuts in the stone around him. But there's nothing, no bodily remains, or none of his companions are there, kind of left bleeding out. So his first conclusion would be that the drow have either killed his companions and took their bodies, or has captured his companions to then turn around, likely to use as slaves or to sell off as slaves, as the evil drow are wont to do. But he has a duty to attend to. After all, he is a, let's see here, where's the alignment of this fellow? He is lawful neutral. So despite him being without his companions, he still needs to carry on and find out whatever this item is, and find this item before it falls into the wrong hands. So it's time to make the first roll of the day as he gets his bearings, It makes a survival roll to see if you can press on. So that's a 14. So our good little friend is not going to get lost. He has made the requisite check of 10, or 10 or more. So he's allowed to forage. Characters can gather food and water if the party travels at a normal or slow pace. So the DC is typically 15, but might be as high as 20 in some parts of the Underdark. I'm just going to leave it as the default 15. But before we even get to Eldon making that roll to forage, to see if he has water and food for the day, what I want to do is I want to make use of, I'll show it in the book first, just to kind of, show where it is I'm getting it from. There's a natural cavern generator. Essentially, this is just where our friend is kind of what might he come up against during the day, during travel. Because of course, it's possible that Eldon travels for the day and doesn't really come up against anything except like twisting turns and small little cracks in the natural stone. I don't think that's the right table now that I'm looking at it. But rather than going to get too hung up on it, what I'm going to do is click on the cavern macro here. Alright. So kind of the interesting feature for the day, if you will. And we did come up against one. No, I rolled on the wrong table. That's why. I know. I'm remembering what I did. Okay, so ignore everything I just said. So what I'm going to do is kind of show you the, what is it, chapter 9. There's tables in here for overarching terrain as you kind of travel. And you can see here for every 5 miles you roll like a D100, and then on a roll of 1 to 60, it's just the continuing kind of mundane terrain that you kind of travel through. But the issue is that in the first book, part 1, and even in part 2, there isn't a table for overarching terrain Underdark. So what I did was I made my own, as you do. So let me just show you here. I believe, let me just roll up how this is. So the weight on this is 60. So this is a 1d100 table, more or less. I kind of designed it to be that way. So a clearing table, a waterway table, a tunnel, a cavern, a chasm, unmarked settlement. These are things I could come up against. They're not weighted very heavily. So as a result, it's very likely that we'll kind of just get continuing nondescript tunnels and caverns as we go. But there's always a chance we run into an interesting feature here in the Underdark on our way to the dungeon that we're trying to get to. So I'll just close that out and click on that. So as you can see, we rolled a chasm. So I'll just show you the actual table here from the book. This is part 2 of this Solo Adventurer's Toolbox. And you can see there's a, sorry, it's a chasm or so I'm on the wrong table. Chasm table. So let's click on chasm. You're at the bottom of the chasm, the floor of which forms a tunnel that seems to go a long way into the earth. Looking up, you see that it reaches up 1d20 times 10 feet and is possibly climbable. Treat this chasm floor as a tunnel and roll on the tunnel table. So let's determine how We're at the bottom of it, but let's see how tall it is. So it is a 200-foot chasm that reaches all the way up. Eldon doesn't really have a reason to scale this. If anything, it's more to the point he needs to carry on with what he's trying to do. So I think it's just gonna be something he registers, just registers and kind of moves on. Continue roughly straight 20 feet. Tunnel turns 45 degrees and continues another 10 feet. Roll again on this table. 50% chance of feature. So got a 37. So that is indeed 50% chance that is met. Pools of strange liquid. Roll for keywords to determine the nature of these liquids. That's interesting. So keyword table. Where is our keyword table? That is probably 104. Probably just control F and find this. It's the situations table. It's not in part 2, is it? Let's check. It is. Alright, so scratch that. So roll D8. 6, so 600 to 699. So we'll roll twice. So roll 2d100. 54 and 81. Let me actually create a new handout here for travel. I'll just call it simply Journey to the Dungeon. Well, Eldon's Journey to the Dungeon. A1 found chasm 200 feet in height. Found pools of strange liquid. 54, 81, so that'd be 654, 681 on this table. Communion. $681. So communion and whole, sorry. So that leads me kind of going off first instinct here. The key word here is communion and whole. Whole seems apt, so rather than it just being kind of a shallow pool, instead it's a very deep pool. And I'm gonna look at the spell communion, because that's where my mind first went. Well, commune, sorry. That's a very high level spell. Contact your deity or divine proxy and ask up to 3 questions that can be answered with a yes or no. You must ask your questions before the spell ends. You receive a correct answer for each question. So, let's keep this. I'm gonna roll a d6. And, well, roll a d3 because I can do that digitally. And that will determine sort of the number of questions that Eldon can ask from this communing pool that he's randomly come across in the Underdark. Okay, so he gets 2 questions. Two questions to ask via this communion divinatory pool found deep here in the Underdark. So my first question, I'll ask the first question for Eldon. Is this magical item we came after? No, we are searching for evil. I do think he'd want to know that. And we can actually use the question answer mechanic here. And no modifiers. So it's kind of it's weird in a sense because Eldon's getting a little insight behind the screen, as it were, to what we know as the audience and game master. So roll d20. It's just a flat d20 and we'll check the result. 16. Yes. The magic item thereafter is evil. Is this magical item in the possession of a being? $11. I'm looking at the wrong handout. 11. Maybe / unclear. So that's interesting. What could that mean? That's something Eldon has to find out as he gets to the dungeon eventually and figures it out. So let's give this a bit of a narrative beat. So Eldon kind of comes across this very deep pool of clear water here in the Underdark. And to that end, he's going to be able to just forage and get the water he needs for the day, which is by and large more important than getting any food. But he has an immediate source of water. So I'm probably going to reflect that in the forage check, making it a little bit more easier for our friend before he has to kind of dig into his rations. But he feels a connection being here in the Underdark to his gods for a moment. As he kind of feels a presence, a comforting presence, a familiar presence. And he intuits that there's a moment here to divine some answers. and he asks his questions. The answers he gets aren't exactly easy to take. His party was after an evil item, and this item might be in the possession of some being. It's unclear, but at the very least, Eldon has some pieces of the puzzle. But he continues on with his journey. So he's going to make a forge check. Let me just click here. Let me actually move our little friend. So he's moved successfully. And the forge check is DC 15. I'm going to reduce that down to DC, we'll just make it 10. I don't know why I'm rolling that for that manually. I'll just use his actual character sheet. There we go. So Eldon has been able to secure food and drink for the day without issue. As he settles in for rest. And I believe there is a table here for rest. Where is it? Wilderness encounters. I don't think it's this one. No. Well, I mean, it's right there, Ben. Mode to travel, weather, unmarked settlements, to make campsite. You're doing many run. Okay, so we make a DC's check to find a campsite. Eldon's doing very good. DC was 10. You're in a subterranean terrain. Okay, so we will use the question and answer mechanic to determine whether or not we are disturbed while we rest. So we'll roll a d20 and we'll modify it by a -2. Since Eldon did well on a survival check. So that is a 9. So it's a maybe. A maybe. Player decide that, well, the example here actually tells us what to do. Player decides that it's a 50-50, so she makes D100 roll, getting a 16. Okay, so roll high. Is it 1 to 49 or is it 1 to 50? It's right on the nose, isn't it? I'm gonna go with, what's 50-50? So 51. So I think it's right on the cusp of yes, unfortunately. Just right on the very precipice. So, what wakes you while being asleep? It's a D100 table. 98. Oh no. Oh, that's an odd one. Storm or weather change? Storm or weather change? Alright, of course there could be weird magical things that go on in the Underdark. That makes sense. Is there a weather change table? And nope. Give me a sec. Something's coming to mind about me having something like this. A table we could make use of. I have made elsewhere. By the way, for any of you who are watching, two things. One, please do tell me if my audio is looping back due to latency. I believe I figured out what the issue was. So if you're hearing like an echoed, like my voice kind of restating what I said like 30 seconds ago, please let me know. Two, if you do have any questions about anything Forgotten Realms related, if you want to ask me anything, I don't know, about myself, by all means you can do that too, but if it's a question I kind of can't answer in the moment and it needs some thought, I'll write it down, and maybe after taking a break I will address it. But if I can answer it kind of in the moment, I certainly will. So this is my overland encounter table that I've made for my own games, and I made good use of in the past. I'm pretty sure I have a weather table here. This is from Ghost of Saltmarsh. Environmental phenomena, this is from my other actual like setting. Alright, I'm spending way too much time on this, so you know what I'm going to do instead? I'm just going to re-roll. And something to make note of. I'll kind of jot that down. Find weather phenomena table. All right. So let's roll. 30. Animal who's indifferent. So, let's just say it's a bat. Kind of awoken by a bat who's kind of hunting down here in the caverns of the Underdark. But we are a nature domain cleric, and we have access to a certain spell. So, this is fun. Eldon's going to cast Speak with Animals. And he's going to ask this bat what, if any, information he might have about the drow and the status of his companions. So, this is going to be a flat, possible yes or no question. So 1 is a no. So that's unfortunate, but it's definitely worth asking the bat just in case they had some information to go off of. But with that, Eldon returns to sleep after thanking the bat for what little it was able to pass along. And because of our cleric, we get to prepare spells. So we've survived a day, which is something Brynjar did not do. So that means we get to prepare spells. Now we are in a survival situation, so that means we need to address things accordingly. So I'm just going to unmark my prepared spells. These two up here at the top are always prepared as a nature domain cleric. Let me look at create or destroy water. Create water, you can create up to 10 gallons of clean water within range in an open container. Alternatively, the waterfalls. Okay, so we want create or destroy water because our good deep gnome friend might not be able to find himself water despite his proficiency in survival. Don't want to detect magic quite yet. Poison or disease. That's definite maybe. Protection from evil and good. I don't think he actually can cast that because he needs a holy water, powdered silver, and iron. So he does not have those. Purify food and drink. It's not really kind of a thing we're dealing with. Sanctuary, no. Shield of Faith. So, create or destroy water. Detect poison and disease. Cure wounds, because it's always good to have cure wounds. Let me read detect evil and good. Aberrations, celestial, elemental, fey, fiend, or undead. Seems a bit paranoid to take that. I don't think Eldon is that paranoid. So I'm going to go with something fun and offensive. So Guiding Bolt. And there we have Eldon's spells for the day. And it's time to make a new survival check for traveling. DC was 10, so we did make it by 1. So we progress forward. Then we will click the Underdark terrain. Ooh, we have found a tunnel of interest for today. It's funny that 2 days in a row here we found 2 features of interest. It's a 60% chance on this table that we just kind of keep traveling through like terrain of little interest, but here we are. The underground river runs beside the tunnel. What lurks within? 35% chance encounter, then roll again, tunnel table. Okay, so We got the D100 roll there already, so there is no encounter. We won't roll again on the tunnel table because the tunnel table is for this is if you're kind of, so the table that's being used here is for if you're kind of in like a cavernous dungeon. This is what this, sorry, I don't know if I bumped the mic there, but this is what the table is referencing here. I'm just kind of using it as a stand-in to kind of determine what interesting things I might come across traveling here in the Underdark. So far it's been a pretty uneventful day, which is good, especially down here in the Underdark. We will make another survival roll for ooh, nat 1. So Eldon is not able to find himself water and food. But our good little friend came prepared for such a situation. He'll cast Create Water and fill up his water skin. And he does have rations. Oops, nope. Where are rations? Doesn't seem right. One sec, folks. I gotta check the Acolyte's adventuring kit. I don't think I wrote that in correctly. Backgrounds, Acolyte, it's right here at the top. Prayer book or prayer wheels, vestments. Oh. Does our good friend not have any rations with the Acolyte pack? I guess not. I don't even know why I wrote it in then. It's so hot. Why would I write that in? Anyways. Let me adjust that. Rations. Get rid of that. Alright. And I do believe I put some stuff in here about food and water. I forget where this is from, the player's handbook or the Dungeon Master's Guide. Character can go without food a number of days equals to 3 plus their con mod. At the end of each day beyond that limit, a character automatically suffers 1 level of exhaustion. Oh. I just realized an underground river runs beside the tunnel. So why didn't he just fetch the water from there rather than using the spell? Let me double check his spells here for a second. So, if anything, it would have looked like this. Well, actually, I mean, that's kind of hard because it's a running river, but I'm sure if you kind of cast it in the moment, you kind of pick up of anything, kind of the water being ill-suited, but even it could be too murky and dark and to drink. It's not just poison and disease that can make someone sickly from drinking it. So, let's just kind of go back to saying he just creates or creates water just to kind of be on the safe side. But he's able to subsist without food for up to 3 days, as per the rules apparently. So, without any ill effect. So, let me open this back up. We're on day 2. Found a river. did want a chance drinking the water there. Unable to find food, unfortunately. All right. So we settle in for the night. We need to find a good place to camp out. As I remind myself to make a note back there about talking with the bat, who was unable to tell us anything about our companions. So let me just go back here. During the night, bat passing by woke us up, asked it if it had spotted Drow or our companions. That unfortunately had not. So, on the survival roll to find a camp, Eldon just knocked it out of the park with a 21, so that means he found, kind of using the mechanics to inform the narrative, he found a very secure location to make a camp. So that means, referring back to our camping, use the Q&A mechanic to determine whether or not we are disturbed. And I think because he did so well, we'll make it highly unlikely. So -4. So we'll roll d20, -4. So that's a 12. So that's a maybe. Roll d100. That's a 54, so that's above 50. So that's 51 or above, so that's a no. Day 1 without food. Able to sleep soundly in a secure location. Okie dokie. Moving into day 3. A survival roll. Oh, Eldon, my friend, very good. Eldon knows that he's kind of in the area he needs to be, but he needs to find the dungeon. Arriving in settlements, no. Oh, there's like an arrival thing here. I know it. I remember seeing it. It's story element tables. I don't think so. Let me check in the second Adventurer's Toolbox. Oh, I remember seeing a table for like when you arrive in a location, how to kind of determine how things look. That's fine. We won't get too caught up in that. But Eldon has found his way. So what I actually need to do I'll call this the discovered hold. I'm gonna be honest, it's probably likely to be another dwarven hold. Maybe very likely an old hold of Emerindar. Need to make this quite a substantial kind of hold, just to kind of give us some room to play with. Zoom way out. Let's find our center point here. Looks about right. So random dungeon generation. Let me make a handout here. What do I call this? Discovered hold. Okay. So, there is a table here for determining your dungeon size. What I want is I'm actually going to choose here rather than make a roll. Just so we're not kind of caught up in a... Not that there would be anything wrong with a solo play mega dungeon. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not what I want to do to begin with. So this is for our own knowledge. This hold has 15 rooms to it. Room 1 starting area. And there's actually a table for this. Dungeon type table. That's right, I need to get some things from the Dungeon Master's Guide. So let's have that available to us. Difficulty finding it. There we go. Getting ourselves to those tables. Dungeon type table. Right. So that is a D10 roll. 2. It is a tomb / crypt. Is there yep, there's the table right there for tombs, and from the Dungeon Master's Guide. Starting area. All right. Roll D10. That's 1. It's a passage. Now the good thing is, I'm glad that Eldon made it to here without anything terrible happen to him. But I've made a series of macros here, and that includes not just the kind of underdark caverns and chasm tables, but also the dungeon tables from part 1, the first part of the Solo Adventurers Toolbox. So we don't need to go to the book. We can just click this. Passage. Ends in an open entrance. Ends in an open entrance to a room. Go to. So, room features. Sure, I made a room table. Didn't I make a room table? Cavern, chasm, door, feature, new room. Oh, new room. I didn't call it room. Square. Do I have a D8? Nope. A D8 plus 1 times 10 feet on all sides. 1 D8 exits. So this is a big room. Rubble. Ceiling partially collapsed. Makes sense. Contents. NPC in room investigating. Roll again to find out what they are investigating. Roll what again? That's whatever. So I'm going to determine a couple things here. So dimensions first. D8 plus 1. So it's 80 foot by 80 foot room. So it's quite big. Feet on all sides. Roll D8. 5 exits. I don't know why I'm typing that there. Okay, so let's do some building. Go to the map layer, draw a shape. So this is the hallway that we kind of walk down into an 80-foot by 80-foot room. Excuse me, my brain's not working too quick today, so that's 16 by 16 squares. So 1, 2. You know, it would have been easier if I just draw the room first and then add the passage afterwards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That might not be as exact. My count might be off, but I'm not going to get too out of sorts about it. Okay. Then, give me a sec. I'm going to go to Brynjar's old dungeon and borrow an asset from there. Don't know why it's taking that long to load. Oops. So it has 5 exits. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. These doors might be not actual doors, but for now let's kind of make some placeholders around the room. Put one up there. Okay, so we have our 5 rooms. Those are our 5 doors or exits. And the most pressing thing here there's an NPC in the room investigating. Now I have a button here for NPC. What I think what I'll do instead is I'm going to ask a question. And I don't know if I should ask if it's a deep gnome or a drow. I'm going to instead ask... No, not instead. I'm going to ask if it's a drow who's investigating. I don't see any need to add a modifier to that, so we'll just make a flat d20 roll. That's a maybe. How do I interpret that? It's a drow, but... Okay. But it'll be... yes. It might be a drow, but we don't know who they are at the moment. They're obscured for some reason. Maybe hidden behind a mask. Or cloaked heavily or something like that. So I'm gonna go here. NPC may be a drow. Height seems right, but cannot say for sure. Their features are obscured somehow. And then we need to determine what kind of room this is, don't we? Because we haven't done that yet. So referencing the Dungeon Master's Guide for a tomb. You know, I'm just gonna say this is like a wide open entrance chamber. I'm not gonna say it's anything specific like a chapel or like a grand crypt or anything like that. It's just kind of a general kind of antechamber that you enter into. Large antechamber. Let's get Eldon onto the map. And then we'll... Oop. I see what happened there. NPC in room investigating. Roll again to find out what they are investigating. I don't think I roll on the room table for that. Give me a sec here. It's the room contents. Oh, I see here. You want to roll on the contents table here. So let me actually show you the table here in the PDF. So it's D100. If we get a repeat result, we'll just ignore it and roll again, or switch the 53 to 35. Let me just copy and paste that into the chat real quick here. Obstacle of some sorts. Athletics or acrobatics check might be required to pass it, or it might be impassable. Alternatively, roll on obstacles table. Page 297. So I have the table here and the DMG in front of me, so let's roll on it. It's a D20. 8. Chasm 1d4 times 10 feet wide. 2d6 times 10 feet deep. Possibly connected to other levels of the dungeon. must say, that is interesting. Let me just... They are investigating... "20 foot wide. "100 feet deep." Let's just draw that out on the map real quick. Probably could have picked a better color for that, but it is what it is. Alright. So I think this is a good place just to pause. I'm going to take a break, use the washroom. Then we're going to get back into it, and we're going to see what it is. Who it is, maybe, who this creature is that Eldon sees in front of them, whether he wants to find out who they are. Now, my mind immediately went to the prospect of him sneaking up to this individual and perhaps trying to push them down into the chasm, but one, Eldon's not very strong, and I don't think he's that type of person. He doesn't know if this is a drow quite yet. He is a deep gnome. He's likely to suspect that it is. He just is unable to tell because they are wearing something that cloaks their features, whether that be a hood, a mask. Hard to say, but in any case, likely he's going to try to sneak over to one of these nearer doors while this individual here's attention is diverted to the, well, focused on the chasm. But we'll see what happens when we get back to that. So I'm going to take 10 minutes here, and then we'll start back into it. Alright, so I'm back. Just kind of go over what happened in the first half. Our deep gnome cleric Eldon Musgraven awoke conscious, separated from his deep gnome companions after being ambushed by some drow. But he had a mission to come to a hold where there is said to have been a magic item that needs to be dealt with accordingly. As he made his way to this hold, he found a pool that he could that was imbued with well, maybe not imbued, but perhaps in a brief moment, kind of gazing into the waters, he was able to commune with his deity, Calor Duran, and he was able to get some information about this item. One being that it is evil, two, that it is potentially, maybe, in the possession of some entity within this hold. The commune spell was unable to give him a definitive answer on that one, but he pressed on. Settling in for the night, he was awoken by a bat who asked if that bat had seen any of his companions or drow, and unfortunately the bat had not. Second day, he traveled alongside a river, but nothing untoward's happened as he is pushed forward and onwards to this hold that he now stands at the entrance to, where he sees a figure who seems right in terms of height to be a drow, though their features are obscured to the point he can't make out which specific race they might be. But this figure is investigating a chasm in the dungeon floor. As Eldon looks across and can see 5 different exits out of this large antechamber that he has stepped down into. So, Eldon has the benefit, since he's a deep gnome, of having tremendously a long range of dark vision, 120 feet in fact. So he can see all these various exits and entrances. So what we're going to do is we're going to discover what these various doors are. In fact, if they are doors, they might just be archways, because our little gnome friend is going to try to sneak, if available, over to one of these 2 doors, which is closest to him. So let's, we're going to start down here in the corner, and we'll go clockwise around for the doors. Let me just jot down this just for reference sake what these are. Put it on the Game Master's layer. So this is room 1. Oop. Put D number 1 here for door. D number 2. E number 3. 4. 5. Also, I will add that I'm only going to stream for another hour and a half roughly, so that would be, let me do my conversions real quick. That'd be 2 p.m. Pacific, and then 5 p.m. Eastern. And of course, feel free to ask me any questions about anything while I play along. I don't mind pausing to address questions if I can do so quickly. Alright, so because we have a nice macro, we can do this real quick. So let me go back to my little handout for the dungeon. Door 1. I could just do this on a nice kind of bulleted list. 1. Standard wooden door, braced with metal. Unlocked. Opens onto room. Door 2. Empty doorway. Perhaps trapped with a magical glyph. Make Q&A roll with the unlikely -2 modifier to determine as such. Beyond doorway is passive, so D4, got a 4, so it's a room. Door 3. Entrance and 10 feet through to an adjacent passageway. Empty archway, no door. Door 4. Window locked. DC 15 thieves tools. Check. One will have to be smashed. Or via another valid method. Door has AC 12 and 20 HP. Opens into a room. Door 5. Standard wooden door. Braced with metal. Unlocked. Opens onto roll D4, so 2 stairs. Okay, so Eldon is a wise and intelligent deep gnome. So he can see that door 2 is an empty archway. You can see door number 1 is a doorway. These are the 2 ones he wants to try to go for because this individual is not nearly as close to as if he was going to go to doors 4 and 5. So what he's going to do is he's going to make a stealth check, see if he can get over to door number 1, and sneak on through. I'm going to roll. I just came up with a question in my mind. Is this individual NPC in the room, do they have a torch? I will make this an unlikely modifier, so -2. So 10. Oh, what do you do with a maybe there? So, let me say they have some sort of muted light source. They have some sort of muted is not the right word. What's the word? Covered light source / dull light source. Maybe magical. Hard to say. This individual is doing a good job of keeping their features to themselves. Okay, so it could be like a hooded lantern. Could be like a light spell that they've cast on something and they're kind of covered up that something so as to kind of make it less bright. Dim, that's the word I'm looking for, to dim the light. Any case, it's time to make a roll, my friends. Make a stealth check. Okay. 7's not very good. The thing is, though, we're in the Underdark. We're in what is, save for a very kind of small radius of light that's coming out from this individual, we're moving through the dark. So this individual, we as the game masters or dungeon masters in this situation need to kind of know more information about whoever this is. So we're going to figure that out right now. You know, sometimes the dice just work out in such a way. So you can see this is a bit busy, but I'll explain what it is. If there's a role for their gender, their race. So you can see it's an elf. And then on a 5 or 6, it's a drow. We know they're chaotic neutral. They're honest and cooperative, which is a bit strange for a chaotic neutral drow rogue. Their goal is to defend a place. Profession is if like we were in a urban setting or something like this, but we're in a adventuring location, so they are a rogue. Give me a sec, because I know on my overland adventuring table I have a separate thing for rolling level. Well, there is in this book, there is a thing for rolling level. So just give me a sec. So we determined all that good stuff. Another class. I think we're just going to make it easy on ourselves and say they're levels 1 to 5. And we're going to roll a d20. $13. So they're level 3. So let me go back and edit this. NPC is a drow. His features are obscured. So let me put in some bulleted list for this fellow. Oh, it wants to add on to the door list there. So it's male drow, level 3, rogue, chaotic neutral, honest, cooperative, goal is defend a place. How about this? Since we have a profession there, we'll say their background is artisan. We'll put artist. Do I have everything I need there? Yes. Okay, so what's important there is we don't want to determine stats. It's getting too busy. I know all elves are trained in perception. At least I'm pretty sure. We're going to go with that assumption. Let's assume baseline 10 for wisdom. That means he has a trained in perception. That means he has a +2. His passive is 12. We're in the dark, so that gets subtracted by 5 down to 7. So despite the -5 penalty, a little deep gnome friend gets about halfway there. Only for this drow individual to turn around and both of them lock eyes. Now, so this drow's goal is to defend a place. So is there... Are they defending this place? 4. So no, they're not defending this place. They're defending another place. Oh, what is their reaction? Let's roll on the monster reaction table. 50. I don't know if that's right. To you come across it and I mean that comment will play the monster's intentions, but it just doesn't feel like fighting right now. Perhaps its intention is to catch you alive from solid purpose. A monster always has reason to attack or no attack, whether it be instinct, defend their territory. You might have elements of your story that have already determined the monster's intentions, and you may not wish to use the below table. Just refer back here. Honest and cooperative. Okay. So, You determine that the monster simply attacks, purely out of instinct. So I need a stack block for this individual, and I know which one to use. Thankfully. We're going to use the spy stat block. I just remembered something. I did just remember something. Technically, he has advantage because he's a deep gnome and we're in rocky terrain. You might be saying, Ben, are you just trying to give this guy an out? Maybe. Maybe I am. But at the same time, it is a stony antechamber. Rocky terrain, though. This isn't very rocky, is it? Okay, no. No. Let's actually play this out. So, it wants to add all my stuff from last session. Turn. See, that's the name that I rolled up for Eldon before. It's a very unfortunate name, Gebetto. What kind of name's Gebetto? Anyways, I know gnomes have weird names, but even that one's too weird. It's too close to Geppetto. Alright. Rolled an 8. And then the spy, who's a dexterous fellow, surprisingly has less dexterity. But they also have a lot of hit points in comparison. Alright. Alright, Eldon is up first. Let's look at our spells here. Is there anything to kind of push or shove? Let's see what the earth tremor does. Cause a tremor in the ground. Within range, each creature other than yourself in the area must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, a creature takes 1d6. Oh, only a range of 10 feet. He's too far away, so that's a moot point. Let's see here. You could just guiding bolt him. You could just run away. Oh, how far away is this door? Oh, actually, let me check out. There actually might be a drow, or fitting drow stat block. Oh, I see. It's just kind of, there is a drow spy stat block, but it's just with the drow features attached onto it. Oh, well, then what are you going to do? Are you just going to blast this fool? Yeah. Guiding bolt. 17 to hit. Drow Spy has an AC of 15. Level 1. Ouch. That's a lot of damage. Just puts down some stuff here. Passive perception of 16. Wow, that's a lot of passive perception. 27 hit points. Minus 18. Okay. So Eldon blasts this drow individual with radiant guiding bolt light, doing 18 points of damage. While yes, they are lit up, and the next attack he'd have is at advantage. There's a few things we need to determine now, because Eldon has decided to run into the next room just kind of blindly, shutting the door behind him. Because door 1 is a standard wooden door braced with metal and is unlocked. Opens onto a room. So let's click the new room. Ooh, a triangular room. So this is room 2. Triangular. D6 times 10. Down one side. Other sides. Whatever shape fits best. So this is a 20 feet down one side with one exit. Well, that sucks for Eldon, doesn't it? It has one exit, and that's the exit he just came through. So we need the line tool, so it's, what is it? 20 feet down one side. Oh, level appropriate hard encounter. So good. So 5, 10, 15, 20. Okay, just making a nice right angle triangle. Let's see here. Level appropriate hard encounter. Many things I need to determine here for this room. Clue, loot, random, secret, door, all 30%. So let's scroll up here. Clue. No. Loot. No. Random. Yes. Secret door. No. Creature in the room. D6. 2. So 1/8 CR and 1 0 CR monster. Okay, let's find the Underdark section. Roll D10. 7. Okay. So 1 times rat. And then a D12. 12. Young Kruthic. Oh, Kruthics. I vaguely remember what a Kruthic is. It's like an alien creature. Kruthics hatch from eggs laid by female adults. Each egg is about the size of an adult human's head and hatches within a month. Tiny Kruthic hatchlings are harmless and rarely stray from the nest. They feed primarily on remains and one another. Within a month, the survivors become young Kruthics, large enough to hunt and defend themselves. Yep. So it's a bestial-like creature. Tremor sense, dark vision, all that good stuff. Climb speed. Let's get some tokens out just in case. So number 2 would be the Kruthic. 16 AC. 9 hit points. And then the rat. I don't know what the rat is doing here, but... AC, 1 hit point. Passive perception of 10. There's a table for random apparently. So let's go back up to the random dungeon generation. Random architecture, is that what that table's referring to? I think so. Just double check here. Yeah, that's what it's referring to. 20, 19. Portal takes you to another random part of the dungeon. Fun. And let's go back to Dungeon Master's Guide because we got to determine. Did I even? Let me scroll back up here. So state, ashes, contents mostly burned, and we're in a tomb, so I'll roll d20. 16. Storage room stocked with tools for maintaining the tomb, preparing the dead for burial. Okay, and then monster reaction table. What are these fools going to do? I don't think Kruthiks are that smart. And we have an intelligence of 4, so I don't think they would want us caught. Well, knock us out, gonna damage us, and then eat us later. I don't know what the rat's doing in there, but maybe the Kruthik's going after the rat. And then something bigger and tastier, like a deep gnome, runs into the room. So I'm not going to involve the rat. The rat's not really relevant. Well, I won't roll for the Kruthik quite yet. I had to decide what this, after taking so long just to determine all that, I have to determine what this drow is going to do, because it just got smoked by a guiding bolt. Monster reaction by table. Roll for the monster's reaction. So roll separately. This has been involved. I think I just asked what roll on the morale chart, because this drow is well be past beneath half its hit points. So I think it's just going to make a wisdom check here to see whether or not it will stay put. So this is a morale check. I do this in my own games just to see whether or not creatures stand and fight or flee after certain conditions are met. That being knocked past 50 hit points. This drow isn't protecting this area, so self-preservation might kick in here. No, they're still staying put. So they are going to 5, 10, 15, 20, 30. That's regular movement. Move up here. That's the dash for their cunning action. And then they're going to stealth. Kind of in behind the door there. The hide. So it's +4 for them. That's 8. Eldon's passive perception. Let me double check. Well, it's 8. So Eldon's aware of that drow despite their best efforts. They heard them running up towards the wall. But that's the drow's turn. So we start at the beginning of round 2. So we're going to roll the Kruthic into the combat. $16. All right. So it is the Kruthic first. So they're just attacking Eldon. Moving up to Eldon and attacking with their stab attack. And Eldon's AC is 14. He doesn't have his shield equipped yet, and that still misses. So that's the Kruthic's turn. It is Eldon's turn. Oh, what's he going to do here? I think he's just going to dagger this fool. See how that goes. Oh! Well done, Eldon. Critical hit. 8 points of piercing damage. He has severely wounded the Kruthic. It lets out a terrible shriek for all to hear within the close vicinity. It is the Drow's turn. Eldon knows the Drow is outside the door, so as he stabbed into this Kruthic, he probably has a blade kind of up, kind of moving it back and forth from door to Kruthic, door to Kruthic. Well, that was Eldon's turn. I'm sure he wouldn't be stupid enough to kind of just stay there. He might kind of move around here. I'm just going to move the rat over here. They're kind of a non-factor in the combat, let's be honest. Like, if it was like a NPC with a rat, at least you could maybe justify it being like a pet or a familiar. This is a Kruthic. They're not very smart. At least the young ones aren't. So if anything, Eldon would move over here to kind of intersperse himself between the door. So this drow individual opens the door, moves in, only to also be kind of greeted by a young Kruthic. Now, I think the drow is just going to attack the Kruthic since it's wounded. We won't worry about flanking here. I don't even think I will play with flanking. So this is just a short sword attack at the Kruthic. So this drow is going to, unfortunately, so this is just a straight d6 roll because the drow isn't allied with Eldon at all. And that is a dead Kruthic. But the drow pulls out his hand crossbow. He begins to aim it at Eldon. Get rid of the Kruthic in the initiative order. They're dead. Is Eldon looks towards the drow and says, "You demonic elf, if you know what's good for you, you'll leave. Otherwise I'll blast you with the light of Kalar Duran and end your life." I'll make an intimidation check for Eldon here. Well, you know, when you're a deep gnome, you're not very imposing like our good friend Eldon here. It makes sense. But I think Eldon is going to stay put. He knows that drow are kind of dexterous beings. So while he might try Sacred Flame, he knows the chances of that striking his foe isn't very likely. So instead, I think he'll pull out his light crossbow and shoot it. Well, you can say this. Our good friend Eldon having a lot more dice luck compared to Brynjar. As the crossbow bolt lances out and strikes the drow. So, just because I think it'd be interesting, I'm going to ask whether or not this drow asks for not so much mercy. You could just run away. But I'm going to ask whether or not, let me refer to their personality, honest and cooperative. I'm going to ask whether or not they might see Eldon as potentially a capable ally despite being wounded substantially. It'd be likely given their personality traits, but I'm going to reduce it down to possible just because there's been this exchange here. So I'll roll d20. 2. No. Oh, this drow. I don't think with 2 hit points a drow is willing enough just to take out this deep gnome. This deep gnome has proven nothing but an issue for them, so they're just going to run off. 30 feet, and then just dash on through to whatever this chamber is here, but we'll leave that token there for reference. Let me make a note. Exit this out. spy. Alright. I'm just gonna mute my mic here. Take a quick drink. All right. So it's time for experience points. So young Kruthic gives us 25 and a drow spy gives us 200. So that's 225 experience points. Where I don't know if it's 3/4 of the way to level 1 already, but here we are. But there's a rat in the room. There's a portal in the room apparently. This was a what is this? Storage room. But it's what is it? Ashes, contents mostly burned. So there's like linens and maybe embalming tools, maybe. But they've long since rusted, and you can see they've been burnt in some sort of fire that took place a long time ago. But there's a portal. I don't know what this form this portal is, other than maybe just like a strange glyph to touch on the wall or on the floor. So Elton's gonna make a Arcana check and see if he can maybe recognize what it is. I don't think it's a very... Let me check my DCs here, just for reference. I don't think it's easy. I think this is probably a moderate check. So I don't think Evelyn knows quite what it is. But he's pragmatic, so he's going to leave it be. As he is scared off the drow spy. He'll move back into room 1. Make his way over to the chasm and peer down into the chasm. Room 1. Let's check out the details on the chasm. It's 20 feet wide and 100 feet deep, possibly connected to other levels of the dungeon. So possibly, so that means, let's ask a question here. 100 feet deep though, that's a bit, that's a big gap. So I'm gonna say it's highly unlikely that it's part of the dungeon. So roll d4. Sorry, not d4. Roll d20, modify by subtract forge for that modifier. So it's not part of the dungeon. I'm going to click on the chasm macro here, see if we can get some more information as to what this chasm might be. So we'll ignore about the dimensions there. It drops down into a tunnel. Roll 1d4 times on the feature table. 50% chance the tunnel continues on the other side. Okay. Go back up to room 1. Chasm. Drops down into a tunnel. Tunnel features. Two features. An underground lava flow crosses slash runs beside the tunnel. What lurks within? 25% chance encounter. So we're not going to roll for an encounter because Eldon's not down there, so we're not going to determine if there's an encounter at all. And we need to determine two features. Large stone pedestal or table is in center of this tunnel. Purpose: discover one clue. Not down there yet. 10%, it is being used for something. And when you click on the features table, so we already know that there's a lava flow happening there. An open rift of lava warms the air in this subterranean cavern. Elementals, hot springs, a settlement feeding off the power. I'm gonna roll again. Odor, okay. Dungeon Master's Guide, page 299. It's D100. 61. Metallic odor reaches your nostrils from even this far away. Now that's interesting. Well, Eldon's not here. Large stone pedestal or table, so he can't see an item on the pedestal or table. You can see there's a lot of lava kind of passing down beneath him. I don't think that's something immediately interesting to him, and it's not what he came here for. He knows the drow fled in this direction, and he's not sworn on vengeance or anything like that. So let me refer back to my doors. Oh. Empty doorway, perhaps trapped with a magical glyph. So this is interesting. I'm going to be determining this, whether the drow trips the glyph. Make a Q&A roll with the unlikely modifier determined as such. Okay. D20 minus 2. That's a 9. It's a maybe. What does a maybe mean in that situation? With a result of maybe, I take that to mean that this glyph isn't triggered simply by crossing the threshold. The drow did not trigger it despite their flight out and beneath the archway. Alright. So door 2, not really interested in going after the drow. Door 3. Entrance, then 10 feet through to an adjacent passageway. Empty archway, no door. Door 4 is wooden, locked. Okay. Okay. So let's just say, for ease, that Eldon sees this as an open archway. He tries the door over here, realizes this is locked, but he doesn't really have the means to kind of open it surreptitiously, but door 5 is unlocked. So I think his inclination is to go over here, and since he thinks there's drow kind of lurking about still, he's going to do his best to remain hidden. The stealth roll 23. Okay, door 3, let me remind myself. Entrance and 10 feet through an adjacent passageway, empty archway, no door. Okay. Let me just move the door so it's a little, it's more, oops. You know what? It's not technically a double doorway, but let's just say it's a wider passage. It goes 10 feet. So, like so. It looks funky, but whatever. Then it meets another passageway. Passage turns left 90 degrees. Okay, how far does it go? That's my question. Oops. Sorry for bumping the mic there. Alright. So that's 15 feet. 1, 2, 3. Ends at a door. Oh. Okay, look on the door table. Iron bars, portcullis, with lever to the side. You can see through to the room. Pulling the lever will raise the portcullis if unlocked. Roll d4 to determine. 1 to 2 is locked. 3 to 4 is unlocked. DC 14, these tools check to unlock. 19 strength to wrench it open. Is the lever trapped? Use Q&A investigation rolls. All right. So it's a room, because we can see through with our little gnomish eyes into the room. So it's 70 feet on all sides with 5 exits. Large chambers. Okay. So it's a 14 by 14 square room. Let's get on the map layer. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, nope, 11, 12, 13, 14. I may have miscounted there, but I'm not going to get too worried about it. So there's 5 exits. So let's grab the doors here. We already have one here, so we just need 4 more. So level appropriate, easy counter, loot 20%, secret door 10%, clue 30%. So looking at our D100s, we did get under the threshold for loot. So there's loot in here. With loot. So let's go back up here. Uh, 115. Just easy encounter in here. Roll D4. So 4. So T2 CR0 monsters. Let's go all the way down to the Underdark chapter. Excuse me. Roll D10. 1. A cranium rat. There's 2 cranium rats. That's worrying. State of the room is furniture wrecked, but still present. Go back to the DMG. What room is this in the tomb? D20, 10, false crypt, trapped, kill or capture thieves. Alright, so because we haven't rolled up that it's trapped, what I want to do is I want to ask the Q&A. I'll make it flat D20 with no modifier. A resounding yes, it's still trapped. DMG has a trap table, so give me a sec. I'll make a thing here about trap. Trigger. D6. 5. Looked at. Like a mural or arcane symbol. Damage, severity, if needed. Three is dangerous. And I forget the damage range for traps. Just give me a sec. Treasure traps, page 120. That is 2d10 damage. Okay. And then effect. This is D100. Steel or stone, jaws, strain, character. So, I already know my answer to this and what it is. Statue of a stone statue of a Saints of Doomthomen, because Doomthomen is the protector of the undead for the dwarves. I'm really concretely saying that this is a dwarven tomb / crypt that we're in. So this is stone statue of Doomthomen, still present in the room, 10 feet in height, by doorway number 4. So go to the GM layer here, room 3. Doorway. Way 2. Way 3. Do I have a quick token for like a statue? Oh, let's see here. Probably look one up real quick on the search function here for premium assets. Statue. Grab this one real quick. So The statue is placed on a, I don't know if pedestal is the right word here. We'll say platform. Above doorway number 4. If you, no, because it has to restrain, so it can't. It needs to be like right here. Uh, 10 feet in height of a doorway. A creature passes by the statue without saying the proper passphrase. The statue attempts to snag crush, and restrain the target. This is like a roll to hit kind of thing, not so much a saving throw. I not deleted that, but closed out the tab on traps. So let me bring that back up for dangerous trap. So that's a +6 to +8. We'll just make it a +7 to hit. +7 to hit. (2d10) bludgeoning on a hit and restrains. DC 12, 13, 14, 15. 12, 13. DC 14. Escape DC. All right. So I think the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the doorways in this room. That way, Eldon's kind of good to go and push forward into this. Look at this description here about the traps taken away. I'm going to put the cranium rats here in this false crypt. Cranium rats. (12 AC). Big old massive 2 hit points. Passive perception 10. 12. 2. 10. All right, and let's describe the doorways. Oop. So I already know what number 1 is. We determined that. So I'll get rid of that. Doorway number 2. Opens onto a room. Click door again. Same thing. It opens onto a passage. And then the last door. Roll d6. 1 to 2 wooden, 3 to 4 stone, 5 to 6 iron. So 3, so it's a stone door. Roll another d6. 4. Unlocked. Roll d6. Untrapped. And the final d6. Well, we already knew it was unlocked. Anyways. It's a stone door, unlocked, untrapped, but it is trapped technically because door itself isn't trapped, but refer to statue Dumathoan described earlier. All right. We have a setup. You know, I also want to know what these creatures are doing. And, do I have my monster table here for, motivations? I do. Alright. So I'm gonna roll a d20 and see what they're doing presently in that room. 6. They're frightened. In this room, they are frightened. I think that's enough just to kind of leave that there. I don't know if Eldon's actually going to interact with these rats. He'll probably say that they're weird rats with like brains poking out of their heads. What is it? Brains exposed on the back of their heads? I think that's what they look like. Something like that. But at the very least, Eldon has fared far, far better than Brynjar did. He is without a hit point. Sorry, he's without a spell slot. But he made his point with that drow, both striking it with a guiding bolt and a crossbow bolt. So Eldon has proven so far to be quite capable despite his diminutive size. We'll see what else he uncovers, and if he can find this object that he's traveled oh so far away to get, and then he has to decide what he's going to do with it. So with that, I'll leave you folks to the rest of your weekends. For those of you who celebrate, Happy Easter. And for the rest of you folks, enjoy your long weekend. And I'm recording the Tolona episode tomorrow. It always takes me a few days past that just to edit it, because I edit it after work usually. So my hopes is, I hope that I will get it out by next weekend, but there's no guarantee on that. I'll have to see how things go for the rest of the week, but the Tolona episode is well on its way. So yeah, I'll leave you folks with that, and take care.